himself an opportunity, right? We're seeing the Xin Zhao banned away and the Lee Sin banned away in game 2. We got the Xin banned away in game 1 of the split as well, so then he was completely out of sorts as well. And it feels like he's just not giving himself like room to breathe in these drafts. So I think instead, leave open the Lee Sin or the Xin Zhao here. You still have the Viego banned away, maybe you ban away the Kennen, but like give yourself an option to get one of these two picks so you can have an early game. Xin Zhao goes away of LNG, but now you get SofM on this Lee Sin.
So, SofM at least has a comfort pick, but so does Tarzan. Yes, you've banned some of the things that have been a menace in previous games of this series, but Tarzan has a 100% win rate on the Xin Zhao. He's played 7 games this split, and he has dominated 7 games this split. He has that pick again. Suning, though, they go back to this Ziggs, they go back to SofM on the Lee Sin. At least they've got comfort of their own.
Yeah, and just to echo that on the Xin Zhao as well, by far his highest KDA champion as well, 7.5 KDA. It's a monster. LNG, though, looking to run it back. The Vayne locked in here. I wouldn't be surprised to see this Kennen locked in third after this and just guaranteeing, hey, look, we've got this big engage tool once again. We're only looking to close the gap onto Ziggs and force these fights.
Well, Light did not play a single game of Vayne during the regular season. He's bringing it out twice now in the playoffs to set this up. But for LNG, they might look towards a top laner now, a blind Gwen. This is an interesting one because blind Gwen has been pretty much staple in LPL, but we're starting to see counters come through. And one of them, Ale played in game number 1. The Kennen is available. It would not surprise me to see Bin lock that in.
Yeah, I actually don't like this Gwen pick. I would have much preferred to see the Kennen because, again, one of the big issues that you see with these Ziggs comps is actually being able to close that gap. But Suning haven't actually kind of opted in towards that strategy. Instead, they are taking like the Lee Sin, the Jax. These are picks that want to go in and get aggressive in team fights. So you will, at least for LNG, have the opportunity to go toe-to-toe against Suning rather than Suning trying to keep them at arm's length with something like the Trundle pick.
So Vin goes for the Jax. We saw it in game number 2, and I'm not going to lie, the scoreline wasn't pretty. But mechanically, it looked pretty good. So we'll see. Maybe it was the matchup thing. Maybe it was just falling behind early. We're looking to the bans, though, here. Is Lulu banned away by Suning, not allowing Icon to be that supportive mid laner for the Xin Zhao.
I mean, the Twisted Fate has been such a big pick for Angel. I'm not surprised to see it banned as well. Like, it's just incredibly strong. And especially when you got 2 late game scalers on either side of the map for Suning, just trying to minimize that is going to work out wonders. Suning now taking away these enchanters, worried that that's going to be paired with either the Xin Zhao in the mid lane for Icon or even Lwandy on the support role. I think the big thing for LNG right now, though, is again looking at like trying to get an engage tool, like trying to find something that can set up these fights. Either something like the Rise to like move you in with the Realm Warp and help you close that distance, or these big engage supports like the Rells, the Leonas, the Alistairs.
And the Rakan that has just been banned away. Suning now have to decide where they're going to go next with this one. Support would be totally unsurprising, allowing a counter pick to go to that mid lane. But instead, they're just going to blind lock in this Syndra, believing that this is... I mean, the Syndra has rocketed in priority. Banned in game number 1, locked in for LNG game number 2. Now Angel will take it for game 3.
It's just a crazy strong blind pick at the moment. And honestly, it's one of Angel's... It's actually Angel's most played champion. He has a 67% win rate on this, so not surprised that he is one of the proponents for trying to pick this up as quickly as he can. But now, we talked about what we want to see from LNG, right? Big engage tools coming through. There's the Rell pick. We'll have to see what they decide to go with as the counter for this Syndra in the mid lane. Could also see them go potentially back towards the Lucian mid if they wanted to, because you've already got that Gwen topside, or at least some sort of AD mid lane.
Well, it's a Galio to lock in that mid lane. It has that roam potential that we were talking about. It still facilitates that same pseudo-supportive role, right? Where you have Tarzan as your primary carry and Icon there to back him up. And also, it's real good at following up a Rell engage. So we'll see how that's going to pan out as Trundle is locked in once more for Suning. Liking the bot lane they had in the first game of this series. Dagda, I need your analysis here. Is this composition from Suning good enough? Is this going to be enough to answer what LNG are bringing to the table today?
I actually think they might this time around. Like, I think the big problem for Sunny last time was there was just too many engaged tools, right? Lwandy on the Rell, you had the Kennen for Ale as well, and even if you got rid of Lwandy, you still have to deal with Ale. This time around, there's less engaged tools. Like, you kind of have a 1-2 combo, an Icon and Lwandy, but like, not enough that you'll be able to lock them in place for a long portion of time. So I think as adding on to the fact you've got Syndra with the Scout of the Week makes it a little bit more difficult for this team to jump in on top of you. So maybe they can try and play at arm's length and pick off members as they're coming through, buy space for Huanfeng, but we'll all have to see how this early game goes, because my biggest fear is just LNG powering through this top side of the map with this Galio pick.
I just feel like LNG once again have a really high powered composition for that top side of the map. And importantly, Ale having that Gwen. Bin going for the Jax once more. Maybe Jax is the answer. Season 1 champ answers Season 11 champs. We go full circle because it's the counter pick that he had for Viego. It's the counter pick that he has for this Gwen as well. Bin, it feels like a huge amount of this game is going to rest on his shoulders. Can he survive the pressure that LNG are going to send his way to the top side? The same for Light on the side of LNG. When we get later into the game, we saw what Light was able to do on that Vayne. He took over in the fights. But now LNG on the cusp of getting a win against Suning for the first time since 2019. This would be a momentous victory for LNG and a step forward in playoffs if they could get it. Oh no, SofM, this is not how you want to start game number 3. Flipped over, ignited, has flash available, and will be able to ward hop out. So it's just going to be the ignite used by Lwandy. The play kind of failed for LNG.
A nice attempt from LNG, but yeah, I mean, it's not the end of the world for SofM. You tend to start W on your clear anyway, so having that safeguard already locked in doesn't matter. Ward down does kind of suck. It means your ganks are less potent in the early stages, but not the end of the world. So all said and done, we'll probably just see the exact same story, but we're just going to replay in the bottom right of Lwandy dashing over the wall with Ale.
Yeah, nice little setup there. It's good to see LNG coming in very clearly prepped, right? Knowing exactly where SofM will stand at the start of the game, knowing how to play around that back. Very nicely done. Now that mid lane matchup is going to be crucial here, Dagda, but let's start off by talking about the junglers, because once again, we have early game junglers. These are the perfect picks, the power picks that we were talking about before. We've got Tarzan on that Zhao. We have SofM on the Lee Sin.
Yeah, and look, it's actually kind of interesting to see how the styles that we've actually seen from these two junglers has turned out very different. On again, taking a terrible trade level 1 of this matchup.
Oh. So it trades it back though. A little bit better than last time.
Okay. He's learning, he's improving, but yeah, I think the identity for these junglers for me is kind of swapped a little bit. SofM has been going towards a lot more of these like solo clears to allow his lanes to get ahead in matchups that we see like the Ziggs. Whereas when we look at Tarzan, he's traditionally been the one that gets the help. We're actually seeing that flipped in this series where it's Tarzan who's been much more kind of focused on an individual clear, which is slowing him down, but giving more space to the lanes, allowing them to go toe-to-toe, and especially as you look towards bot side of the map, right? They now have the push, which helps guarantee him that first scuttle on the bottom side.
Look at his Gwen stats. 100% win rate in the mid lane, which, you know, doesn't matter all too much. It was the one game that DoB played it. But yeah, incredibly strong top lane pick. Has been tweaked down a little bit on 11.15. But we'll see if that's going to make any significant difference here as SofM moves up to the top side, going for a full clear. Something on the Lee Sin you don't see all too often, as On gets chunked out very heavily in this lane, but Lwandy getting answered onto as well. Huanfeng and Light now trading, and it's Huanfeng that's winning it out. Both of LNG's bot lane is very low.
Light trying to see if he could get that final proc, but actually end up tumbling across a bunch of those mines, slowed down, and Huanfeng gets a nice little trade back. But Tarzan now has the opportunity to go for this same gank that we saw in the bottom lane. Level 3s are hit. He can tank it up, set up by Lwandy, and it looks like that's what we might see happen here.
It's possible to see a bit of a dive there. I don't think it's going to happen, at least for now. SofM spotted out an award, will be recalling Lwandy to make this play happen. Tarzan spotted out though, and On flipped back, doesn't have, oh, he had flash, just can't use it. And Light walks away quite happily from that one. That is an easy first blood from LNG.
Nice job as well. The jungler kind of just been there for as a scare tactic, but now Huanfeng has to be careful. He's no mana, no TPs available apart from topside, and LNG have that advantage because Icon still has his own.
This could be really dicey for Huanfeng as TP comes in from Ally on the top side and immediately takes a really rough trade for himself, as it feels like Bin has complete control of this top lane matchup right now. 10 CS advantage. Now, luckily for Huanfeng, On has arrived back in that bottom lane. The play did not come through from the side of LNG. They opt out of trying to force a dive. So things will remain relatively neutral. The silver lining here for Suning is at least Lwandy was the one to get that first blood kill. So in terms of gold, in terms of how that matchup goes down, it's not going to be the end of the world for Suning.
Yeah, I think it'll be enough though where LNG now start to put their attention top. Actually, as I say that, Lwandy linking up with Tarzan, as we talked about, the orchestrator moving everything up to this top lane. They want to make this play happen. It looks like Bin, though, will need to back away and should be able to TP back in safe.
Okay, Icon gets hit by the Q, spots out SofM as well. The play not going to happen, at least from Icon, but Lwandy has moved all the way up here. He's only level 3, but the TP from Bin could be an opportunity here for LNG. Bin doesn't know. He lacks critical information here. Has his flash available. Has no ward available for a ward jump, but there is a wave coming. Oh no, SofM. We saw this in the best of 3. Tarzan and Lwandy waiting in brushes for SofM. He gets out this time. Has to burn his flash. That's the second attempt onto SofM we've seen in this series.
It does mean, though, that Tarzan is kind of falling behind. Like, look at the goal, or not the goal, sorry, the CS, where he's sitting about 10 behind because he's been constantly trying to make these plays happen. We're still topside, though. SofM still hovering.
Oh, we're not going to go for a dive. I was going to say we were going to go for a dive, but they back away. SofM was there. Bin will be fine. And we said a huge amount of this game, looking at the drafts, is going to be onto Bin. How well can he weather the storm? Well, so far, the storm has kind of weathered itself. It's just been SofM hovering, and Bin just kind of sits on the tower, makes sure to last hit, makes sure to press counter-strike, and no dive has actually come through just yet.
And it's the bot lane that's looking the worst for wear out of all this, right? Because Light's been left on his own. You've now got one plate that's gone the way of Huanfeng. You're losing out on CS as well because Light was forced away from the turret. So LNG, despite the fact that they're the ones being the proactive ones, are actually giving advantages to Suning in key areas of the map.
Crazy thing is, Bin's actually up in CS after all this pressure towards the top side. Now Suning going to be able to start this Drake off for themselves. A good start to the game here. A much needed good start to the game after how game number 2 of this series went. It doesn't feel like Suning are out of the running just yet. You know, when you get to game number 3 in a best of 5 and one team wins the first 2 games tagged there, quite often it can feel like the first team has just keeled over entirely. Talking about LNG here, back in the spring playoffs, we saw this exact series in the first round. It was a 3-0 to Suning. Ale going for the all-in here. Icon has moved over. Ale 1 HP. Jump onto the tower. Bin gets taunted up by Icon, who's happy to tank it. Justice punch out to safety. And LNG find themselves a kill.
And apparently there is no Iron team no more for LNG. They're the ones that are moving around the map. They are the ones that are interacting with their lanes as, Ale.
On wants himself a solo kill. He's going up to the top lane and Ale goes down. On finds a solo kill. He's furious that he didn't get Rookie of the Split, and he's here to make a name for himself.
I actually have to double check this. I think On might have the most solo kills of the supports now, because I think he has 2 solo kills.
I have no idea who's the most solo killingest support, but right now, in my heart at least, it is On. Herald started up here for Suning. LNG want to answer though. We've got Icon and Tarzan here, but with a pillar down, means Tarzan has to flash away. There is a blast cone available, but it becomes very dicey with Tarzan having no flash to try and contest this one. Both bot laners still on the bottom side of the map here. Taunt comes through. SofM still on the Herald as On just gets absolutely chunked out. Herald taken down. SofM could not pick it up though. Bin with a triple stun here, jumps out to the rest of his team. SofM has to ward hop out to safety. Suning get the Herald, but they're denied the eye.
And that is crucial again. This is the exact same as what happened in game number 1, right? Suning, they get Rift Herald, but get denied the opportunity to use it. Again, now we're seeing LNG making these plays to stop it, and it means that this Ziggs isn't able to snowball in the same manner that it has. And again, LNG, they're buying time for them to get the 3 items on this Vayne, to get to a point that they can look to team fight. And again, like Ale, he's going to be in a reasonably good spot in this sideline as well for a large portion of this game against the Jacks.
Huanfeng, mate, I don't know if that's where you want to be. Okay, they don't commit to him. I wasn't sure if he was just going to get all in there, to be honest. It felt like he was going real deep. As Bin misses the stun, the needlework already used. Flash forward from Ale. Bin might just get solo killed here. Ale, is he willing to go under the tower? Yes, he is, easily. Not even a split second's thought on that one. Ale solo killing Bin, and Bin cannot find a foothold in this series.
And it feels like a very long fall from grace for Bin, right? Back in summer, in Worlds of 2020, Bin was everything for Suning. We had Sword Art playing towards him, SofM playing towards him, facilitating this aggressive style, but no longer do we see Suning playing as heavily towards this top side not apart from a little bit in this game. Doesn't play as heavily towards roaming up there to help out Bin, and unfortunately now Ale, he's the one getting those resources. He's the one who's now got the lead in the top lane matchup, and he's just shredding Bin apart with this needle break.
Yeah, I mean, hits all 3, gets the autos in, just flashes forward, and then I mean, the finish off is just getting wrecked. I don't know why he walked towards Ale. I feel like maybe he misclicked that one.
I think he's trying to dodge the true damage. It's on like the very center of the cone. Maybe he could have survived, but I think it was damned if you do, damned if you don't in that situation. There's no way you're going to get out. As now he decides to trade again.
I mean, he's winning out the trades. It's just the all-ins that he's not able to find advantages on. SofM on the top side of the map spots out Tarzan. Really, really good Scryer's Bloom there. It means that Tarzan shouldn't be able to make a play on towards Bin. Another huge wave being crashed there, but every single time Bin crashes these massive waves, Ale's there to soak them up. Now Angel clears away this wave, but look at that CS lead up in the top side, right? 20 CS advantage in favor of Bin, in favor of Ale, sorry, at this point after all of the action that's been going up on that top side of the map. Lwandy here to help Icon protect this mid tower. SofM even takes a turret shot for his trouble.
And there's not much that Suning can do to try and even this match up top, right? Because you always have the threat of Icon being able to play up towards that top side, making sure that you always have that numbers advantage. So Suning trying to make the plays mid, trying to get control for this dragon in 20 seconds. But LNG, they still have really good control here. And at the moment in these fights, especially with Huanfeng being so low in mana, I give the edge to LNG.
Oh, Angel, that was gorgeous. Completely denies the engage from Lwandy with the scatter the weak. And I'm pretty sure he just saved On's life right there. SofM here alongside the support. Icon maybe has stayed a little too long here. I think Pillar of Filth will still be on cooldown for the time being. So SofM instead looking for chickens, but he's going to get taunted up. Has to safeguard out to his mid laner to get to safety. Light, though, flashes forward to try and make the play happen. Doesn't get the condemn onto SofM. Oh, it was so close to beautiful from Light, but just didn't quite work out.
Swing and a miss from Light, not quite able to get the condemn to the wall, and it doesn't matter in the grand scheme. It would have been nice to get some extra gold, but LNG will still manage to get this dragon. I say that.
Oh, will they? Lwandy's in trouble. He's in the pit. He does not have flash. Lwandy surely goes down here. Huanfeng trying to chase for a little bit more. Mega Inferno bomb in, but it does basically nothing. Angel is the one to do the damage instead. As Suning finally get themselves a pick that will lead to a Drake. It leads to a huge CS lead that Angel's found for himself. Maybe Angel finally gets himself into this series.
Yeah, LNG just weren't fast enough on the dragon. You had the double TP reset coming through from Suning. They just finished off their mythics where you're waiting on anything really on LNG to be picked up. So they managed to take that fight. Nice job from Suning, as you say. Like, find a bit more of a foothold. Find some control back in this game. And now you've got Huanfeng who gets free damage on his bot lane turret. He's already taking 2 plates there. Maybe we still get that bot lane turret cracked open and you can start to play for these Rift Heralds once again soon.
Well, they've only got, 35 seconds until those plates are going to fall down. Huanfeng would need another few hits onto the tower. It's about a plate and a quarter is the point at which Ziggs can get the tower down with the satchel charge. doesn't feel like that's going to be doable in the next 25 seconds because there's no pressure coming down to this bottom side. So won't be happening this game in favor of Suning, at least, as a third play is taken by Alley. And I feel like we need to just take a second here, Dagda, and appreciate the fact that, oh wait, Bin. Is he going to look for another all-in? Bin does not care what his score is. I've never seen this guy respect the scoreline. He's 0-2, and he manages to take half of Alley's health, scatter the weak. Just a millimeter, a Timo, if you will, away from getting the stun onto Alley.
But you end up investing 3 members top as Suning for that play, and you don't actually get anything from it. Like, Alley doesn't burn his flash, he burns the ult, yeah, but it's not the end of the world. Now, you can still muck for plays elsewhere.
Lwandy's here, gets the stun, gets the CC chain onto SofM. Icon now going to dash in, but it's just going to be a whole bunch of CC. Not a whole lot of damage to be had there. Has been, maybe he has been caught out of position. Does he have a ward available? I can't see because I've got plate gold on my screen, but SofM can move over. Bin can hop out with the leap strike. And now Herald going to be started up. All 5 members available for both teams here. If either team gets the Herald, we could have a 5v5 for it.
I think Suning just take it. You've already invested mid and support ultimates for LNG. They just don't have anything in the tank to try and go against a fully fledged Suning. So they back off. Suning will get this, but we'll have to see now where Suning decide to make themselves known, because we've talked about bot lane being available. Well, actually, LNG, maybe contest.
See, I'm not sure that LNG are feeling quite as respectful of Suning as you are right now, Tactic, because they still want to go for this. Icon TP's in, misses the shield of Duran, but they still get themselves a Herald. The bomb comes in, and Tarzan trying to escape with that Herald. Pillar of Filth is going to come through. Tarzan in the middle of everyone. We see Icon go down. We'll see Tarzan fall as well here. Has been, no, it's SofM to finish that kill off. Suning lose the Herald. They get a couple of kills. What else can they find? Because they've got to get a gold lead at least.
I mean, Suning win on this play by default, right? You get 2 kills, you're going to get the mid lane turret, whereas the Rift Herald will more than likely only net you a turret as LNG. So Suning coming out the better for wear on that play, and I'm surprised that LNG went for it. We already said, like, ultimates were down. You don't get to team fight, and losing 2 really ain't worth it.
Yeah, certainly not. LNG, bit of an interesting call on this one, and we finally find Suning back in control of the game here. I mean, I just don't really get it. I just don't get why the commitment when, like you say, the ultimates weren't available. You can see LNG don't actually want to fight. They were just posturing to try and take the Herald.
Yeah, and I think one of the big things about this series as a whole has just been like lack of trading for Rift Herald, right? What a lot of teams have gotten really good at doing is, hey, look, you go for Rift Herald, we'll overload like bot side of the map, and we'll take a turret that way. We'll just trade eventual turret for turret now. But we haven't seen it at all this game, and I think that was a really good opportunity for LNG to go, hey, look, we already invested too much in this play. Let's just have people roam bot, see if we can get this bot lane turret, and at least trade for an objective. Instead, they do get the Herald, but they lose 2 kills and that mid lane turret when it could have just been an even trade.
So Dagda, I want to talk game plan for a second here, because it feels like Suning with a 3,000 gold lead, they are the ones that have control of this game, but Light is on this Vayne once again. We saw in game number 1 of this series that he's able to take over late game team fights. Are we looking at a similar scenario though? Because this time there's no Kennen. This time he doesn't have that same level of massive all-in from the rest of his team.
We may not get crazy late as well. Dragon in 20 seconds, and everyone wants to try and fight for this. So I think the big thing here is, again, like, if Lwandy finds this mega engage, Tarzan can set up for Light. Sure, you can find these plays where Vayne can take off, but still needs 2 more items under his belt. Whereas Huanfeng, like, those mega Inferno Bombs really starting to hurt now with the Liandry's finished.
It's going towards that Horizon focus as the second item as well, which will be a massive spike for that Ziggs. Suning grouping up Alley, trying to move forward. He's just going to get bomb after bomb after bomb on the face. Light loses half of his HP to the combo. And now in they go. Icon trying to slam, but he's interrupted. Doesn't get his ulti off. Tarzan on the front line, just trying to tank for now. Huanfeng forced to flash by Light with the all-in, but now he's gone too deep himself. The bomb's coming on through, and the rest of Suning trying to clean up. Kick away onto Alley here as SofM goes in with the flank from Angel. Suning finally finding their footing in this series.
And you can see the difference here, right? Lwandy gets that good engage, but you get Angel able to interrupt the follow-up from Icon. You don't get that 1-2 punch in the same way that we saw in game number 1. And suddenly Vayne is spending the entire fight chasing members down, then actually being able to finish them off. And Suning managed to take the kills, they'll take the dragon, and put themselves 5 minutes away from that Ocean Sun.
You finally get to see a little bit more from Suning again, but Dagda, I'm feeling a little bit scared, I'm not gonna lie. Because I don't know if you remember game number 1 of this series, but at about 20 minutes, Suning had a 4k gold lead. We're about 20 minutes in, and Suning have a 4k gold lead. It could all still go wrong. Icon actually got solo killed by Angel off on the side of the screen there as the fight started.
Yeah, he doesn't quite get solo kill, managed to flash away, but it is that big interrupt, and Icon looking for the flank, but wasn't quite able to find it. And again, you can see here, without that like lockup, there's just not as much that the Vayne can do. Now, a given, we said again, you want a bit more items here as Vayne, right? You really take off when you get that Gwynsu's Rage Blade, so at least a little bit more time to come online for Light. But honestly, I'm still kind of seeing the same issues where if Angel is playing in backline with Huanfeng, Bin is on that front line, it actually becomes really difficult for this Vayne to pop off in the same manner without those big engage tools.
Definitely feels difficult for Light in this one, and especially against the Syndra. Scattered Weak is such a terrifying ability when you're playing a short-range AD carry. It's so hard to get close to Angel without just getting one shot. And like, let's just take a second to talk about Angel before the next fight happens here, Dagda, because we finally get to see him exist in this series. It feels like he's been incredibly quiet so far across the course of this series, but now 201 has the Syndra that you talked about, one of his most played picks of all time. Feels like he's finally coming online, a player that has been so crucial for Suning all year long.
And especially, as we said, like, seeing this control mage come through gives so much pressure. It's Scattered Weak, yes, but also that big old outplay button with the ore going to be crucial for the likes of Light, trying to dissuade people like Ale from going too far forward. And we even saw him having that major impact in the last fight. So again, I think we're going to be keeping our eyes a lot on this backline from Suning to see if they can stop LNG from advancing. Right now, though, they're playing this map very spread out, right? Using the fact you've got Huanfeng pushing mid to start creating a lot of zones of control up around this top side.
We're starting to see mythics across the board here as well. I think pretty much, well, everyone that's opted into a mythic has a mythic. Bin obviously going for mythic as his second item, I would assume, although to be honest, I'm not going to make predictions on what Bin builds. We've seen that both Bin and SofM can go a little funky with their builds, so we'll wait and see what he goes for there. But the Phage could be a Sterix. Still possible. We'll have to wait and see, but certainly the key thing is items coming out across the board here. 2.5 minutes until an Ocean Soul deck there. Feels like Suning with an almost 5,000 gold lead. Wait, no, I can't count. That's 4,000. Wait, no, it is 5,000 almost. I can count. I did it, Dagda. Yeah. I'm a real boy.
The math checks out. The math checks out. I like it. And again, as he said, like 3 + 1 is 4, which will give the soul. So for Suning, when they have full pressure, they have full vision control on the bottom side of the map, it's looking pretty likely that they're going to get to number 4. And you can see LNG, they're like, right, well, maybe we can use this to get vision control on top side, but if you're going to trade the potential Baron for the soul, you got to get a hell of a lot of use out of that Baron and a lot of use out of that.
Oh, no. Got to have a living mid laner to make that trade happen. Kicked away. Icon just going to be locked up, and he tries to do some damage, but he's playing Galio, so that's not an option for him, unfortunately. And, you know, we're talking about the Drake in a minute and a half. Well, Icon's just been picked off, and there's a Baron on the map right now. It wouldn't surprise me too much, but Huanfeng, oh no, fumbles it, and now Ale chases him down. There's a bomb, but it's not going to do much. Needle and Thread comes up trumps at the end of this one. Suning picking on towards the Baron anyway. I don't think they commit to this. I think they're just looking for vision.
Yeah, I mean, that kind of blew up in Huanfeng's face there. Managed to get caught out. Thought he had the support coming from his top side, so thought he's going to be safe, but not going to be the case. And now, the control that we just said Suning had is slowly being worked away at by LNG. Now, still some really deep wards in behind, but Angel's the only one with the teleport available. Bin used it to make that pick on towards Icon in the top lane, so still Suning need to find these ways of controlling River, getting their long-range poke with Huanfeng and Angel down, and preventing Icon from having these magnificent flanks where he can get in off of a TP or some engage flank from Lwandy.
Or you say these magnificent flanks, we've yet to see it in game 3. As Icon having a bit of a rough time for himself. He is 60 CS down at this point. See how fast that maths was, Dagda? Pretty impressive. I'm just going to say it. Suning in control right now. 15 seconds until the Drake. And Icon almost gets one shot by Angel. Oh, the bomb! Flash away from Icon. Barely survives. And Suning now. Massive opportunity here. Icon does have his teleport available, so he will be able to rejoin the fray. Bin waiting in the brush. Ale gonna face check him, and immediately Bin looks for the fight onto Ale, gets a good trade going. Icon's TPing into the pit. Gets knocked back by the Drake here. SofM could jump onto him if he wants to. Satchel charge. Icon, you're not allowed out of the baby cage. He's locked inside. He's on babysit duty and does not get to leave. The Dragon is just wailing on Icon this entire time. Finally gets out using his own ulti. Suning are getting blown apart here. LNG have finally found the fight. Light is popping off. The Suning are taken apart. You can never put Icon in the babysitting cage. He will always break free.
And that's the crescendo for the orchestrator that is Lwandy. The beautiful engage onto the front line of Suning manages to set up for Icon as he rips apart his soother out of his mouth, launches himself on towards Suning, and gets the play that they need. The Dragon goes the way of LNG, and I'm getting deja vu munch. This is take 2, but watch it here. Lwandy again. This big engage. This is why we highlighted this man. Steps up when LNG needs him most in this game. And following up is Icon to give the time and give the space to LNG to carry the fight.
I cannot believe it is happening again, Dagda. We see Lwandy with these insane engages. And, you know, his scoreline is only 1-2-3, but his influence in that fight goes far beyond the scoreline would indicate. And now, still, the gold lead, massively in favor of Suning. They still are one Drake away from getting themselves a soul, but when you think outside of just this one game, right, think big picture in this series. So far, we've got 3 out of 3 games where either Suning gets a lead and they make some really iffy plays and potentially throw it, and then we have one game where LNG just dominated. It's not a good look for Suning overall.
It really hasn't been, and I think in game number 1 and game number 2, a lot of that was just disrespect of what LNG were capable of. Game 1 was these flanks from Ale. Game 2, SofM trying to make these plays when Tarzan was in a lead because of the champions that they selected. Now, into game number 3 again, they just are not giving the space that they need to stop Lwandy getting these engages. Again, like game number 1, this Rell is putting in the back leg work for LNG.
And hey, you know, Lwandy's playing the horsey champion, so the back leg work very strong. Angel barely flashing out with his life here. SofM, he's hovering for Angel. Right now, this is a 1v1 between the mid laners, and Icon does not win that. Has to use the Sonya's. SofM opting into a 1v3. I'm not sure that was the best move you could ever make, but he's going to be okay for now. Could go in onto Tarzan, but the bomb doesn't quite land, so he won't commit to the play. I'm kind of surprised SofM survived that one. I feel like that was not as hard of a commit from LNG as I expected. And Bin, I mean, he's just AFK pushing at the bottom side. He doesn't think about team fights. He just thinks about towers.
It's been the story of Bin for this game. Every time he's on the Jax, right, it's just, hey, I'm off in the side lane. He's getting turrets, though. Like, LNG aren't being able to find these engages and, you know, suddenly burst open the map in the same way that they had in game number 1. The next Dragon feels like that's going to be the real kicker for this series. Either Suning getting control back, finding some space and room for Bin to breathe in this bottom lane, or you end up in a situation where LNG find these good engages once more, and it's Suning who are sent packing.
And I want to just point something out quickly as well in terms of how this series will pan out, because I think maybe some viewers have been a little confused on the draft phases that we've seen so far, where we've seen LNG being that blue side 3 games in a row. Now, the way side selection works in the LPL in playoffs is that the team with the highest seed picks their side for 3 games in the series. They can choose which 3 games that is. For LNG, it's number 1, 2, and 3, which means if Suning were able to win this game, they'd find themselves in a position where they're getting side selection. Maybe they can go over to the blue side, and that's when territory can get a little dicey for LNG. We're certainly not there yet. But Suning, with an almost 5,000 gold lead once more, feels like they have control. They just need to play it slow. They just need to be safe. They need to avoid LNG's win conditions. We can't see another throw like game 1, Dagda.
It feels like LNG have learned so much from their last bout against Suning, though, right? Because one of the big things we highlighted was Camille in game number 1, Suning LNG. Massive issue, they just banned Camille. As on, I need to be careful.
You say that, he's throwing out some filthy old pillars there and forcing LNG away. A TP comes through from Bin as well. As Suning, this time around, with Drake up in 40 seconds, they are not interested in trading tier 2 towers. They not have been on another side of the map. They have been in the fight here. SofM has to move forward to try and face check this one, try and get some vision control, but LNG are not conceding the river, at least for the time being. On forced away, Ali takes a massive chunk there from Angel. Oh, and just in case it wasn't tense enough, we have a bit of a pause coming on through.
And you can see now, Suning, at least when we're addressing the starts of this dragon, far more honest, taking it slow, trying to use that range and poke that they have with the Ziggs, with this Syndra as well, and not being able to land are so far, but definitely you can see that big burst onto Ale, making a lot of a difference onto suddenly how we kind of picture this initial team fight going, but we'll have to see exactly what the pause is going to be for.
Okay, so Dagda, while we've got this pause, talk me through the perfect way that this goes for Suning. We've seen so many times in this series that Suning don't set up correctly. LNG get this big combo. Icon slams in, Lwandy gets the big ult, etc., etc. How does Suning play this? Maybe we don't have time. Maybe it's going to happen live instead. Looks like we will have a What? Where did he go? It's a magic trick as Lwandy disappears. And now in Tarzan goes, knocks Huanfeng back, but he manages to get back to the backline once again. Icon flying in to try and save the day, but the damage is there. Triple taunt comes through. Light still going strong. Ale in the middle of everything, but Bin gets a stun. Managing to turn things around a little bit. Bin and SofM is on the flank here, looking to try and get a pillar in. Light goes down. SofM finishes him off. Ale cannot get the damage out. Icon with yet another taunt, but Bin still going strong. Another kill for Suning. They finally found the fight.
And that was exactly what I was about to say. Blow up someone with Angel and Huanfeng, and you can win this fight as Suning. And they just barely crested over the line. It was dicey, it was close, but now with an Ocean Soul, it makes things a hell of a lot easier for Suning.
And Lwandy, honestly, where did he go, man? That was just a QE. That wasn't even the ult coming out from Angel. That was just basic abilities. Angel is terrifying.